the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big dog sports talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark.
Thursday edition of the program. Good morning. How are you? Hit us up on the professional door text line. Also, in our McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Got a lot going on today. My goodness. Good morning, Prometheus. You bringer of fire, you. Stephen, good morning. Vic, how are you? Good morning. Good to have Vic now as a regular member of our chat. Provides a lot. Appreciate you, brother. What's up, T-Bird? Master starts today. There you go. Let the whole song play again because I cut it off a couple of times and people are like, we love the song. Okay. I'm glad. I'm glad you love the song. Thanks to Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios here. Thanks to Jason Green, 540-282-94. Each and every day we are brought to you by Family Fencing Studios. McClellan Chiropractic. Thanks to Mark Hundley. He is awesome. Appreciate him. If you have anything going on with your back or you got a sore body, go see Mark. 155 Walters Drive, sponsor of our chat room. Sundown Electric, just unbelievable business. Thanks to the Smith brothers. Thanks, Jeff. Talk to their clients. Go read up on the reviews. Anything you might need done, they will tell you up front everything involved, the cost, and they are awesome. What they've done continuing their dad's business like Travis and Professional Door. ReadySetFun.com. That is Bob Christ, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. Find out how to make a series of text messages, help your organization raise some money. It's really great. Nonprofit stuff that works very, very well. Thanks to the NRB Super Bowl. They've been part of our community for over 25 years. Thanks to Terry Stike. Reserve your lane today, 382-5525. It's 300 North Franklin Street. That's where Lawson's Mobile Home Supply is located. Go see James Lawson. They've got parts for your home, plumbing, windows. You talk about great prices. Go see James if you need anything like that for your house to work on during the weekends and as we get warmer. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of me and this program. I've talked about how easy they made my refinancing. Unbelievable. Our BDST fan question of the week brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry. We'll have the official results tomorrow, but Bryson DeChambeau is winning. Everybody seems to be jumping on him. That was our question. Who do you think is going to win the Masters? 701 West Main Street in Radford. Trust and estate planning. Go see Ryan Pry. So, yeah. Rory is second, by the way. Scotty Scheffler is third right now. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971, 540-553-2971. I don't know what else to say. I had one of the most devastating things happen when you get your unit struck by lightning in the winter, and they came and had it all taken care of in 3 days. Amazing. All the folks here on this program are so trustworthy, and Little River, I think Morris is about to find out, going to realize how good they are. Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, speaking of good, the presenting sponsor of this program, thanks to Jonathan Sweet, Tim Miller. We'll try to get Tim on here next week, talk more about the racetrack and everything else that's about to open coming up. From Jim Nance's call, a tradition unlike any other, let the golf ball soar in the Masters' hallowed grounds. That is every golfer's big brother. BDST is live and online. I know what Morris is going to be doing today. That's right, T-Bird. Warm weather coming again. Let's hope it stays. Jeez. Yeah, I saw that. They're going to borrow from Trump's plan, Vic. Yeah, the NCAA panel is going to propose giving athletes 5 years of eligibility, and that's it. So we'll see. Speaking of the hallowed grounds, I got a vent for a second. I saw it going around yesterday. We all know how much ESPN completely sucks, and they've lost their leadership. They're nothing about sports. It's all about politics and virtue signaling and all that. They don't care. So this is the Masters, right? And even me, and I've explained this since last week, I'm not a massive golf fan. I want to watch and get into it because I respect the hallowed ground. I respect everything about what it represents in the sport, right? It's like the Kentucky Derby. I'm not really into horse racing, but I respect and understand the historical relevance of the Kentucky Derby with its sport. Masters with golf, Wimbledon in tennis, the Daytona 500 in NASCAR, whatever it might be. And you have ESPN was there yesterday, and they had their moronic crew out there, you know. They had the Kelseys out there screwing around dressed in caddies outfits, laying on the greens, and people were pissed. They have no self-awareness over there. Is this what Generation Z wants? Is this what young people want? You think this is okay? And I saw some people fighting back, oh, you're just old people that were complaining, not me. I didn't bother to respond. People were just trying to defend all the crap ESPN was doing. Out there screwing around with the Masters, carrying beer out there. And I'm like, when Marty was on, who works for that same network, and I have to think he coexists with that network. There's no way he buys into that crap. He's talking about the reverence every time you're there, every day, every second you're there. And there they were yesterday screwing around, putting up beach chairs. And I don't know about you, but I'm so sick and damn tired of the Kelseys. There's nothing about them that's remotely intriguing to me. Maybe other people like it. I don't know. But it just totally, completely embodied everything ESPN has become. Kevin Hart was there. And I'm not even a golf guy, and it bothered me. So I can only imagine people that are taking the next 4 days to such almost religious vibes. T-Bird says Rory's great off the tee, 50-50 in iron play, but struggling with putting. I'm rooting for him. He won last year, right? So back-to-back. All right, let me know. When's the last time we had a back-to-back Masters champion? Yeah, a couple of drunken idiots. Exactly, Brian. And they're just sitting there promoting this. People were pissed. Now, again, I don't think they even care, but it backfired. I mean, we had prominent accounts that were just saying, what is ESPN is once again hits a new low. I don't see how anybody can watch anything on ESPN and have any confidence that any of it's anything. It's kind of like, it reminds me of what happened to MTV, which is now defunct. They ran this stupid show called The Real World. They thought that's what it was going to be. They took videos off forever. And what used to be such a great idea went by the wayside. And ESPN used to be a great idea. It used to be so well run. It used to have so many people. You couldn't wait to watch SportsCenter. I could not wait to watch Steve Levy and all those guys on SportsCenter. I've already forgotten their names. All the good guys that were on there. But it reminds me of that. And it's not just because you're older. I'm sorry. This is not just getting older and get off my lawn bull crap people always try to accuse you of. No, this is just recognizing what is just complete slop as a product from what it was intended to be. Stuart Scott was one of my favorite. I love Stu because he loved what he did. Remember the old commercials, This is SportsCenter? Those were so good because they still had this. Before, I was just put it this way. Anything before Disney, they were fine. Disney came in, right, and implemented all of its political leanings, all of its virtue signaling, all of its division, trying to create division, hatred for politicians they don't like. So they put all that in, and that's all the people they hire now. They fired people who talked about their own beliefs that disagreed with it. It's just a damn joke. And yet there are still people who go, hey, did you watch ESPN? No, I don't. I don't get anything at all from the sports news or nothing. You have to watch games because they have contracts. Mute. That's it. You have to watch college football because they have the games. But that yesterday just crawled all over me, and I didn't know anything about it. People were showing video of what Kelsey was down there digging up the green. What are we doing? And how did the Masters allow that? I guarantee you if somebody caught on, that had to have ended pretty quickly. Okay, thanks, Morris. The only other two back-to-backs, Faldo and Nicholas. I did see that, Vic. Prosecutors are seeking Woods' drug records from a pharmacy. Let's just say it flat out. I think Tiger Woods is addicted to his pain meds. I do. 100%. 100%. He's got a problem. I hope he gets straightened out. I do. I hope that happens. Morris, what did Gary McCord do? Yeah, he got removed from the ground. I don't remember what he did. Oh, Tiger was the last back-to-back. Sorry. Tiger, I missed the first part. Sorry. Okay, so Tiger was the last back-to-back, and then the only other two were Faldo and Nicholas. Okay. So Rory's going to be potentially drawing some esteemed company today. Sorry. I saw that. I just thought, but it's just so typical of ESPN. So typical. David Smith's going to join us, the Radford Hall of Famer. We've got Andy Bitter from Tech Sideline. We've got Alex Guerra, Radford Baseball. They're rolling again. And then Dwight Vick. McCord made a reference that the Masters greens were like bikini wax. Oh, did he really? I'll tell you then one thing. It's going to be hard now because they bought the NFL Network, and I used to always watch the NFL Network's coverage of the draft. Now you won't be able to get away from the god-awful ESPN influence. People just sit there mind dead, and they just absorb whatever's thrown at them. And then they're just like trained seals. Did you see Jason Kelsey in his caddy uniform and his beach chair with his beer? What are we doing? Coach Elmo, by the way, is sending me cruise pictures and videos. He's having a great time cruising around the Bahamas and all that area. And look at that. I go on Twitter and they're showing it yesterday. Look, they're showing the video right now. It's still going around. There goes that moron, Jason Kelsey. Just imagine thinking that it's going to be great. Pat McAfee, Jason Kelsey, Kevin Hart, turning the Masters into sophomoric humor. Yeah, people are pretty pissed off this morning. It's still coming in. Still coming in. Hey, look, there's a picture of Selma Hayek. That'll cheer you up. Selma Hayek, girl number one. Good. I'm glad to see people are still. I'm glad to see people are still up in arms about it. So this is going to make its round. This is good. This is good. I hope not. I hope Matt, but there he was. He was getting ready to tee off on one of the greens. I don't know if it's got to be a practice green, right? There's no way he's on the main course. Prometheus says anyone who takes pain meds regularly gets addicted. Yeah. Exactly. Addiction's a serious thing, man. Right? It is. It's a serious thing. And you know, you're growing up, you don't understand when you hear about it. You think people should be able to stop. It's not like that. You get older, you realize that it changes the chemicals in your head. Right? It changes everything in your body. And a lot of times you don't even know you're getting addicted to it. You just realize you have to have it. It's not unlike caffeine. I mean, I'm addicted to diet soda, diet Pepsi. That's my vice. I fully admit it. I don't, you know, people get addicted to whatever it might be. Coffee. People are addicted to coffee and the caffeine. You're addicted. It is what it is. Vic says Jacqueline Smith, number one. Yeah. They had a Charlie's Angels reunion. There's 3 of them left, right? It's Kate Jackson's still with us, Jacqueline Smith's still with us, and Cheryl Ladd. Of course, Farrah passed away years ago. Those 3 did like a round table with talking about the show and everything, and it was groundbreaking. You know, it made women at the time. You're talking about the late 70s. I mean, you had 3 female stars, and they were solving everything. They were getting, you know, that was ahead of its time. And Jacqueline Smith still looks, she's like, I guess she's got to be close to 80, mid 70s. She still looks really, really good. T-Bird says, I'll be surprised if the Masters leadership doesn't put a permanent end to that district. I hope. I mean, you think about all the other things that they put their foot down on. How long was it before women were allowed to join, right? Because it was a club. Michael Jackson got addicted, right? We talked about that yesterday with Keon. Yeah, Matthew Perry, completely addicted. Said fame and fortune was the worst thing that ever happened to him because all he had to do was just show up and people knew he had the money, he could buy whatever he wanted. Matthew Perry's drug supplier was sentenced to 15 years. Good. Good. But I'm going to try to follow it, and I'm going to try it. I won't be able to watch, every shot and have it on. I don't have a TV in my office at work. Many people do, so they'll have it on. Maybe I can find it on the computer, but I don't subscribe to anything. But maybe I can put it on and have it on. That's good therapy. I think especially the early rounds, you're out there, the greenery and the galleries. I don't know how big they are on Thursday and Friday. You hear the birds and all that. So I still have to figure out. I don't know. I thought I was going to pre-pick somebody that I wanted to follow, but I'm going to see how it develops. And then of a certain group, if it comes down to a couple guys or 3 or 4, I hope it's a big group. I know golf doesn't usually work that way, but I hope it's a big group. Wonder if Richie Davis is around today. Who's he think's going to win? Richie, you're the big golf guy. Always giving me a hard time that I don't talk enough about golf. Who's going to win, Richie, if you're here? Who is the favorite? Who is the is it Bryson? Is he the favorite? Is that why everybody's picking him? I'm going to say, who is the 2026 Masters favorite? I can't spell. Let's go to AI mode here. AI mode will kick it right in there because they pick up everything that's going on. Scotty Scheffler? Really? Scotty Scheffler is the consensus favorite? Now, that kind of surprises me. John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and Roy McIlroy. There's your 4. Okay. So Scheffler, Rahm, DeChambeau, and Rory are your 4. Xander Schauffele is around like right after that. Somebody named Ludwig Aberg. I don't know who that is. I do know who Xander Schauffele is. Tommy Fleetwood. That's the dude with the long hair, isn't it? See, I know a little bit about it. Getting a random guy with no major wins. Was that who it was last year? I thought Rory won it last year. Yeah, Rory won it last year, but you're right. I don't remember. Let me look. I don't want to misspeak here. David Smith's going to join us to get us off to a great start today. Here in just a little bit. List of Masters champions. You have to say champions because, it's Masters champions. Yeah, Rory won last year. I don't have a list. There you go. Scotty Scheffler Scotty Scheffler's won it twice. John Rahm won in 23. Tiger last won in 19. Dustin Johnson, kid that played at Coastal Carolina, he won in 2020. Hideki Matsuyama, who Marty references being just this great guy in 2021. That was Marty's first visit to cover the Masters. He talked about that. Jack, 6 Masters wins the most. Tiger with 5. Arnie with 4. Jimmy DeMeritt, Sam Snead, Gary Player, Nick Faldo, and Phil Mickelson all with 3. I don't think I realized Phil won 3 Masters. Morris has a polo shirt from there. Pretty cool. Says since he retired, Jason Kelsey likes to be the center of attention every time he gets on tee. Yeah. Yeah, they're both toolboxes, both Kelseys. They're just. But hey, they've got a very popular podcast, so they're still raking in the money, talking about inane crap, I'm sure. I hope it's good. I hope we have a lot of guys play well. I hope they battle. I hope the course is unforgiving, and I hope that they have to really play well to win. David Smith's a good golfer. What I say, David Smith can talk golf. He's a golfer. See who he thinks is going to win. But I know there are people at work that are taking a couple days just to chill and watch the Masters, kind of like you do for the NCAA basketball tournament. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel wherever you might be. We would really, really, really appreciate that. Look, I'm going to put it up again. Look, there it is. Like and subscribe. Oh, here's another one. What's this one look like? Hey, a little thumbs up, like, and subscribe guy. Yeah, here's another one. What does this one look like? A little blue one. Like and follow. Yeah, we would appreciate it. And look, I'm going to put this up. Please subscribe, like, and share. And we don't bother. You just get like a little 5-second, hey, the show's about to start. Whoops. There we go. That's all you get. That's all it is. But I hope it's a good tournament. It's going to dominate the sports weekend as it should. And I hope I can really find my way getting into it. That's my goal. I hope I can get into it. Because there's nothing else going on. Major League Baseball is a shambles. Let's quiz Coach Elmo on golfing talent. I don't want to see any elbows or armpits. Tell you what, he sent me a video of he was talking to the New Mexico football team. He was brought in down there to consult. So cool that he has that much – people have that much reverence for Coach Elmo. They bring him in all over. You should have seen those guys watching him. It was really cool. I'm going to talk to him about that. It was really cool. That guy knows. I mean, those guys were just glued in, and he was telling light, football and life. It was really, really good. Really good stuff. Oh, yeah. Don't forget about our T-shirts. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel. Thanks, Vic. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I think it's on Prime. I think the early round. I think I saw an ad for that. Yeah, it's on Prime, I believe. Yeah. I just wish it was Mike Tirico for 4 days. Nance and Tirico. And then have some analyst who knows the game come on and let Nance and Tirico just call the whole tournament. And that would make me happy. And then have, whomever the best golf analyst is now. I don't know who that is. Right? Because Nance gets a little overdone with his hello friends. I get a little tired of all that. You could have Tirico be the main guy and then have Nance kind of fill in. I would be perfectly fine with that. Because I'm not sure that Mike Tirico is not the most talented guy on television right now. You might disagree, but anyway, joining us now on the program is that guy. He's the most talented guy on this program. What's going on, man?
Man, I'm not even the most talented guy in my house. What are you talking about? and that is not buffoonery. That is fact, boy. So listen. First thing, I kind of chimed in because I always like to see how you warmed up. What's got you lubed up? I trigger you, but coffee addiction. Okay,
I know. No, me too. Look, me too.
I'm repping the logo today, which I typically put my work stuff on. So I'm in full Radford gear today. And look at this one. I don't know if you can make it out.
I do see that. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's old school. WVRU. Beautiful.
So that was what I did. I think you knew that. Maybe you didn't. I
did. You told me. Yeah.
I guess, Rick, I was through graduate school. So 5 years, I had the Mahogany Perspective, which was there.
Mahogany Perspective. That was a great show.
Yeah, we did a fun job with that. We actually launched that in '83. Carol Bellamy out of Washington, D.C., and she says, Dave, you do radio? Yeah. You do some DJing? Yeah. Would you like to come? Let's try to do this show. We presented it to the folks that were. I mean, obviously, there was no R&B station at that time, the R&B platform. And so I had all these records, right?
I know, records.
Albums, still got them. And so, we did that. And so a couple weeks ago when I was over there for a meeting, I had a chance to go to the station. Of course, they've moved it now. from where it was to where it is now with the Artist Center and the whole bit, and had a chance to go see it. So, so with all that being said, I heard you talk about the coffee and the caffeine thing. I don't know if I'm addicted. I love it, and it's decaf. So for me,
so you're okay then? Yeah,
it's about the warmth. It's about the warmth. Yeah,
that's cool. I respect you, man, for being able to get off of caffeine. That's cool.
Well, I think, Rick, for me, it was just a habit. It was just having something. I like the flavor a lot. Always have. Since I was a kid, my mom and them would leave some in the morning before they go to work, and my sisters and my brother and I would, who's getting the coffee? Because we couldn't make our own. So it's funny. All six of us. I have four siblings: myself, my brother, and two sisters, and then my mom and dad. All of us like coffee, but of the four of us siblings, our spouses all do not drink coffee. None of them. My wife doesn't.
I do not,
and neither does my both my brother-in-laws don't drink it, and my sister-in-law don't drink it. So I don't know how y'all make it. I don't know what's wrong with y'all.
We're all nuts, right? We're all just great.
There you go. So, and I heard you talk about the Masters, by the way, Rick. And so not to steamroll you. So,
what do you got?
Who do you like, Rick? I think I heard you say you were talking about the favorites. Anybody strike your fancy?
I kind of like, as a guy, I think I kind of like Scotty Scheffler. He just seems like a kind of just like a dude that is just this naturally unbelievable golfer that he probably didn't expect to be this good, but here he is. So maybe him. I don't know.
I think I'd lean him, and I'd lean probably Rory, because the Masters, no matter how it goes, it seems like it. First of all, it's always delivers. Don't worry about who's in it. It always is going to deliver on Sunday. Crazy as it sounds, it will. But it's almost always people who've had success there always show up in those rounds. Like today at the end of the first round, somebody that hasn't played in forever will probably be in the top 2 pages of the league.
You're right.
DJ Singh is 63. He's at such the first round. They always have someone in there that you go, bro, I didn't know he was still around. Or Freddie Couples, who will go out and do really well. But then the day 2 and the day 3 kick in and all that. But usually the players who are playing at the top and who have played well there typically are going to be in the mix. And so it should be a lot of fun. Always an exciting time. I can't believe after all these years, I'm still working on Thursday and Friday and not taking one of those days off.
You're not like, you're not the people at work. They're like, I'm going to just take tomorrow off.
Drives me nuts. Love watching that event. It's the prettiest thing you'll ever see. And if you get a chance to watch it in 4K, not that I have a 4K TV, but you don't have to. If you've got a TV that can give you 4K for special events like the Super Bowl, the clarity and the greenery, unmatched, man. Unmatched.
Well, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to really follow it and get into it this year. That's my goal for the next 4 days.
And by the way, Rick, too, started to get off topic here. This is what happens when you give me 34. If I had my original, I heard your commentary yesterday with the gentleman, the Richmond broadcaster, Bob
Black. Yeah.
Oh, he was great. He's great.
Awesome. Bob was great.
Loved his takes on all things college sports and portal. And right after I heard you guys, I did some reading and saw that they are now proposing that 5-year window thing.
Yep.
Which I think is a start. You've got 5 years from when you graduate or you're 19, whichever is earliest, to wrap it up. You're not going to be around here now till you're 25, 26 years old.
Right.
Regardless of if you started your career late, and injuries aren't going to be one of the exception factors that's going to preclude you from getting out of college or include you to continue to stay. So that's a start. It doesn't do anything for people who are just going to lead great programs every year. And I'm blown away in the men and women, because I just don't know how many people that have been in the tournament with success are still leaving teams. I
know.
And Pebbles said the same thing yesterday. My wife, she said the same thing that you said. And I kept saying, well, and it really comes down to they're trying to see how much what they can get, Rick. How much they can get. What is your worth? That is what it is. And in some ways, it is unfortunate. It's capitalism at its finest. It doesn't do anything for team building. It makes these coaches have to just reset everything. You think about, I think Texas women made it to the Final Four. And I think 3 or 4 players off that team, 2 or 3 starters.
I know.
Are leaving. It's just, and that's Texas. You think they got money? They got money.
Right. They've got maybe a little bit of money. Even for women's basketball that loses money, they have money to pay this player.
But Texas is just, they're back there printing it. So for them, so that's when you start to go, is it just money? Is it, because who's going to have more than them? But maybe they feel like they can show their worth more. So it's a lot of factors out there, Rick, but it's portal week, and it can be frustrating for the coaches and teams. God bless them for those in that profession. That's all I can say.
I know. Well, we're feeling it at Radford. I know Mike McGuire had a meeting, everything looked good, and then Joy jumps in the portal and she's gone. And it's just like they're trying to recover from that. And it's like never got any indication that was going to happen. So it's interesting when it happens at our level too, and you're dealing with that every day. And the repercussions, man, I'll tell you what, it's just going to ripple through that department over there. So
yeah, I think anymore, if you've got a player that's doing anything okay, I didn't even say elite. Listen, Joy's an all-conference player. She has grown every year, a wonderful human being, and this is her third year. She's probably looking at things like, I got one more year, and this is an opportunity to get this windfall. And if people are asking her to come, if they're people, hey, you at your house, you're not bothering anybody. Metaphorically, somebody knocks on your door and says, hey, look, yay. You're like, Mom, this is, some of that you can't even, again, Rick, when you're 19, you're 20, you're 21 years old.
I know.
It's difficult. And so it's just unfortunate. I'll be glad to see this kind of get reined in a little bit on some level. I don't know what the answer is, but we shall see. All
right. So Chad has already kind of led us in a direction we were going to go anyway. The Eagles conversation has begun over here. I see already.
Come on, Philly.
We were going to mention what's going on there. I know we kind of finished off last week about what in the world's happening there with Hurts and that organization. People were asking about A.J. Brown. Nobody wants him. He was tied to the Broncos, and it was almost like Sean Payton giggled, like, no, we weren't going to. Jalen Waddle was our guy. What's going on in Philly? What we saw was weird. The article came out. It wasn't much pushback from anybody in the organization. So
none. I
think that was leaked intentionally because this is the reality of it. And is this going to destroy their window going forward because of the turmoil?
And well, this can does this absolve AJ Brown of his antics, or is this just one of those that says maybe AJ was not the real issue here? Listen, everybody knows his talent, and why they couldn't have more success is hard to believe, but Jeremy Fowler and someone else kind of collaborated on the piece, and it spoke to the fact that Jalen Hurts' inability to want to pivot and change was a bit surprising to me. But Rick, if we've learned nothing over these years, why are we surprised at anything once we hear it?
No.
It's we only know what we think we see. And so from that, we often are disappointed because this program, including you and me, felt like this guy was a salt of the earth, and he probably is. He could be standing on principle. The problem here is it may not be the proper thing for the team, Rick, and we just don't know what it is, do we? But the only thing we're pretty sure of is that there's some noise, and where there's some smoke, there's fire, and there must be something that, to your point, because if this wasn't a thing, Sirianni and all those that were at the owners' meetings last week, and Lurie and Howie Rosenberg, why didn't they stand up and say, absolutely not a thing? We're going to stand behind our guy. I don't know that I heard that that way. I did not hear that way. And so now, is that somebody allowing it to go so they can't take the blame that it may be on them? We don't know. But this is one of those teams, and it's a similar to Baltimore in some ways, that you have a team that has all this success, all this talent, Rick, and you're not achieving what you need to achieve. But there's some other things, underlying things going on here. The offensive line, which was the staple of that organization, tush, push, and all, post Kelsey, they still were moving mountains out of there, was banged up a lot last year. How do I know that? Saquon Barkley did not get close to 2,000 yards last year, and he wasn't hurt a lot. He had nowhere to go. If you watch a lot of his game, he had nowhere to go.
He did not,
nowhere to go. So you don't establish that run with them. I'm sure teams was thrilled to not have that to deal with, because now you're one-dimensional. Now you're saying, all right, Jalen, now because I'm sure the strategy playing the Eagles is very simple, Rick. Let's make Jalen Hurts have to try to be Mahomes throwing the football, and we'll live with the results. But if they get the running thing going too, oh, now we're on our heels. Rick, you played. You understand how it's tough enough to stop a team that's great at one thing. If they're elite at two, now it spreads you out. You got to put another guy in the box in a whole bit. So with all that being said, to me, I think the Eagles, we're going to learn real early this year. They're going to come into camp and everyone starts off. It's going to be great. Oh, man, so glad to be back. All that was just noise. You wait till those games start. Don't mess around and go 1-1 or 0-2. And these Giants are coming. Harbaugh is loading up. They are coming. They're going to be a factor. Dallas is always going to make noise, and Washington is much improved and with picks. So they got a couple guys in the free agency market. So I'd be concerned about Philly, not worried, but I'd be concerned early on, especially, Rick, because there's something going on there that they're going to have to pinpoint and squash. And Sirianni has incredible success from a wins and losses standpoint. But there's a lot of people still skeptical of him. They still don't believe that Rick, that's what it is. They just don't like him. They don't like him. You know, kind of almost Dan Hurley like in that.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good comparison. Yeah,
he's a Northeast guy. He's like, I'm in your face. You know, this is who I am. Profanities throughout the whole deal. He'll come right at fans. You know, you shouldn't do those kinds of things. You know, you will never see Tom Landry do that. You never see Don Shula do that. But this ain't the 70s. This is not that clearly. I'm not saying it shouldn't be some of that, but because people see them as should be at a different level, when he does those kinds of things, people react differently to it. I think they just don't like him. And so I think it all magnifies with Philadelphia. And so we'll be interested to see how it all plays out. Real interested to see, because it's going to be much watch theater.
Yeah, It is. Well, we got the draft coming up. It's a little anticlimactic this year. It's going to be interesting to see because we have one quarterback, and he's going to go number 1 overall. He's already said, I'm not going to the draft. I want to be with my family. I think it's great. He's just saying, look, don't try to force me to do something I don't want to do. People have been criticizing him. I'm like, come on, man, let the guy come on.
That's his moment. Let him have it.
Let him have it. He's going to go number 1 to the Raiders, and I think I get mad because they continue to make good move after good move. I think bringing in Kirk Cousins was brilliant. It's low key. Watch out for the Raiders. I think 2 years we're going to be talking about the Raiders, and that whole division is going to be upside down. But anyway, after that, this draft is going to be interesting to see how much interest it's going to hold because you're going to be seeing linemen, defensive players. You're not going to have big names like quarterbacks are not going to highlight a draft. But when that happens in the first round, it's kind of we'll wait and see, right?
And that's right, Rick. And the names that are at the top and the teams that are at the top don't necessarily evoke a whole lot of wow to it. But it could be one of those drafts, though, that when the games start, you may start to say, who is that jumping off the screen? So I'm not sure that it's anything that a novice fan would understand or appreciate. Kind of like when a lineman gets picked 23rd, you just kind of do a golf clap.
Yeah, you're like, okay.
But then when he's mowing people down, you'll go back and say late first round pick that has established himself as one of those deals. But interestingly enough, with the Raiders, Jets, Cardinals, Titans, and Giants, those are your first 5 picks. And that thing has moved around from what a lot of people think based on combine measurements and interviews and results and pro days, which I think a lot of people poo-poo it. I don't poo-poo it. I think this. If you have a place where you can go and everybody's coming, you should have already know from watching the games and being in person where you are. I think the combine is good for buttoning up the things that you didn't see in the games and all. I don't think anybody goes to the combine and goes, well, I had him 95th.
Exactly.
I went to the combine and he jumped 43. Wow. He's moved to 2. I don't think that kind of thing happens. But what I do think happens is there's interviews that go on. There's also things that you can go, the medicals that go on. You know what? This knee doesn't look great. I think all those kinds of things.
Sure.
I just think of it this way. If you're Denver and you can go there and see everybody in one fell swoop, you can take advantage of it, and you don't have to worry about flying everybody out individually. But Rick, the interesting part that I see this happening is Jeremiah Love for Notre Dame is skyrocketing on a lot. I don't know why he's skyrocketing now. I love the guy, no pun intended. When he was playing the game called football back in the fall, he's really, really, really good. And I originally was thinking, well, maybe everybody won't know it. Maybe the Chiefs will get him at 9. You wouldn't love that. And so, but now I'm hearing that he's probably going to go to the Titans at 4. Now he can go be with that organization with Ward as a number one quarterback, kind of like your Raiders are doing. Let's build this thing right with talent. A lot of people feel like you need linemen and those, which you do. But I feel like if you're the Titans and you got Cam Ward and now you get Jeremiah Love, and you're going to have 4 or 5 year rookie deals going on here. You don't have to worry about paying that great talent. And you can supplement that with free agent linemen wanting to come because you got to protect and build from the inside. Yep. Exactly. I think that's a team that can start to say, we've got our head beat in for a couple years here. Now it's time to right the ship. And I think them and the Raiders, if they make this pick, I feel like it's a home run. And a lot of the mocks are kind of saying that's where it's going. The number 2 and 3 pick, though, Rick, interestingly, has been between Arvell Reese and David Bailey. They are 2 edge rushers. Again, the kind that you love having on your team because they're going to cause chaos. But you're kind of going, well, is that going to change things? Well, edge rushers can muck it up. They can cause problems for you. And Arvell Reese was already going to be an early round pick, but he shined during interviews through all the measurables and all that. It just reaffirmed what everyone said he was going to be. A lot of people have him going to the Jets to kind of go there and try to give Aaron Glenn some kind of hope up there. I mean, they signed Geno Smith at quarterback, and they are touting Geno Smith at quarterback. And I would hate to think once again, Geno, we know the whole thing, Rick. When I just feel like if they had done a better job of getting, Kirk Cousins, anybody, just get somebody in there.
Exactly. Why did more people go after Kirk Cousins? I don't understand.
Oh my goodness. Before I went Geno Smith, I would have gone Kyler Murray. I would have been. You cannot have that quarterback position at the Jets. Try to hold water for that defense that's out there fighting. It's got to be frustrating to be a Jets fan. I'm a Dolphins fan, and we hadn't won it forever. And the Jets have been longer than us. And so they haven't won. Joe Namath in his mid-80s, I'm sure, was the last time they won. And so, so they're going to continue to stock up on the defense. But the craziest stat of all, talking about the Jets and their defense, Rick, there's Aaron Glenn, a big-time cornerback, defensive back forever. That football team had no interceptions.
It blows my mind.
Last year, not a tip ball, not a deflection.
How does that happen?
Wait a minute, Rick. 17 games.
17 games. Right. An extra game.
Not 14, not 12 like
not
it used
12,
to be. 14, 16, 17 games. And don't forget, some of those are against my Dolphins. You couldn't even get one on us.
Couldn't get one on. Yeah.
Not even one on Tua, who was trying to give away his lunch all the time. So Arvell Reese is probably slated to go there, Rick. And then David Bailey out of Texas Tech is slated to go 3rd to the Cardinals or 2nd to the Jets, whichever they don't take. You feel that one's going to take the other, and it's going to settle there. And then from there, Rick, there's a confluence of things that people feel might happen. It just depends on teams' needs. But to me, Spencer Fano, the offensive tackle, going to the Giants is one that was an early mock situation. If the Giants are trying to get stuff together up front, they're going. I am bullish on the Giants. I'm just telling you, a sneaky team.
I know.
Potential playoff team. Now if Jackson can start to slide, Dart can start to slide, Rick, he's got to take care of himself. He's got to take care of himself. I mean, Harbaugh had those years with Lamar where he had to teach him the same thing, bro. Your best ability is availability. You don't have to prove anything out here.
And that's why he went to New York. He chose the quarterback he wanted to work with, right? He got it. I think it came down to Cam or whoever it was going to be. It was another team. It was like, okay, Jackson Dart's the guy that I think I can build around. So, yeah, you're right. He's going to make sure he takes care. I bet they contact each other every day talking about his health. And
he's texting. Oh, he's like, bro, listen.
It got to be.
You're in New York. You cannot mess around and not be – because without you, we are nothing. So make that clear. Now, Scatterboo's going to be back, and he's perfect for them. They're another one of these quarterback running back combos that you're seeing that are young, along with the Raiders with Genty, now going to be with Mendoza. You're talking about Cam Ward potentially being with Jeremiah Love.
I know.
When the Eagles are well, you're talking about Jalen Hurts and Saquon. Kind of Rick takes us back to our favorite time, the 70s, where you always had a staple running back. Always had a staple running back, a good running game. Of course, it was a time way back. The only team that I remember that really started to change that momentum was the fun to watch Don Coryell San Diego Chargers.
Eric Coryell, baby.
Them bad boys.
Charlie Joyner.
You had, and then they had Chuck Muncie, I think, was with them at one particular time with the black frame glasses, and Chuck Muncie was there. Yeah. So, but they aired it like crazy. And they were fun to watch, and it was like, whoa, they're just throwing it all over the place. But typically, big back, big fullback, tight ends, and just power through. So no spread sets, but and then
you
Rick
had three of them. You had three of them. I was thinking about that. I was going to ask you about that. I think the Miami Dolphins in their heyday are the only team that had three. People don't realize you had three completely different types of backs, right?
Absolutely.
With the Zonk, with Mercury, and with Jim Kick.
Versatility guy.
I don't think we've ever had a team that had three.
No, not three, because even the Dallas teams back then had Preston Pearson, but they had Tony Dorsett was a home run guy, and Preston Pearson was just but they didn't have the third guy, right? They didn't have the third guy, and we were, which was so unique when you think about Larry Zonka was just a pounded guy, but he could break it, but he wasn't like a home run guy. Mercury Morris was just a change of gears.
I love Mercury.
You pitched the ball to him, and all of a sudden he's running sweeps with Larry Little pulling. What are you going to do? I mean, what are you supposed to do? And so the uniqueness of that team, incredible 3 or 4 year run. It's what it was. We lose to the Cowboys, get killed in that game, come back the next year, go undefeated, come back the next year. The team that was actually better with 2 losses, beat the Vikings, and then the Sea of Hands ended that run against the Raiders, 28-26. Clarence Davis breaks my heart, cried.
I know.
As an 11-year-old, I'm crushed.
I know.
And that handed the baton to the Steelers, who started that. That was 74. Steelers win it. Steelers go back-to-back. And then I think the Raiders got one. Then your Broncos go and they lose to Harvey Martin and them. And then the Steelers come back and go back-to-back again. And then the Raiders come back and get it with Kenny King and Jim Plunkett, beat the Eagles.
Big upset. They were underdogs in that game.
Exactly right. Yeah, and then in 81, it was the Niners. Then they that was the first Joe Montana one. They beat the Ken Anderson Bengals, I believe it was.
And
so
enter Bill Walsh. Yeah. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just started thinking
listen,
about that.
No. You bring up my Dolphins anytime you want.
I know.
A time long forgotten, boy. We are far away from that right now.
Yeah, I know. Jim Kick finished his career with my Broncos. People forget that. Yeah.
I don't know that I remember that, but how about that? That's
did.
Crazy. And it's funny how people ended in different places. I think Franco Harris ended with Seattle, maybe.
Seattle, yeah.
I think. Yeah. And I believe that O.J. Simpson ended with the Niners. Some of these things, and Emmett ended with the Cardinals. I think it was. So you think about these things. It rarely ends. It rarely ends well, Rick. You either go kicking and screaming, or hey, I think I got more left in the tank. Unless you're Tom Brady, and then you just say, you know what, I'm just gonna go down here to Tampa, win another one, and roll from there. Yes, sir.
And Zonka with the Giants. Yeah.
That's right. How about that? It looks so weird because he had that. Used to have that helmet with
weird.
I know. Just with that mustache, and it's like, bro, you look like you're doing a skit. Doesn't even look real.
It doesn't look real. No. Well, I don't project a lot of trade because quarterbacks are what usually brings the trades as well. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't think we're going to have a lot of trade activity. We'll see, but I don't feel like it. Maybe we get surprised, but maybe all the trades have happened before the draft. So I don't know.
You and I talked about this last week, Rick, and for your listeners or viewers, you're kind of thinking, well, it seems like the draft is kind of blah. And you and I have been saying it is a little blah right now because the free agency came in and folks kind of landed where they were going to land, Kyler Murray in Minnesota and so on and so forth. You had some of those that needed to get done, Kirk Cousins now being moved to the Raiders, and you have all that going on. But then it kind of settled in. People were, letting people go. Tua goes to Atlanta. Miami's make their decisions. They brought in Malik Willis and players like that. Other than that, not that that's nothing. I think now the pause is let's line up for this draft, which is 2 weeks from today, and see what's going on with it. I think then whoever's left out there, Aaron Rodgers still sits out there. And I guess Pittsburgh and him must have a great relationship that he's going to come back because all the dominoes are falling now. They better know what they've got. Yeah. Otherwise, they're left holding nothing. So it's a little quiet right now. I don't think, to your point, Rick, there's going to be a lot more that's going to happen until this. I think the moving may happen at the draft, or someone may move up, someone may move someone during the draft. But I don't see if anything that's on the radar that's about to happen, but kind of like the Carolina coaching hire, there are some things that we don't see at all that's happening in the background. And all of a sudden it could be one where you go, you know what? This is where it is. And so a lot of quietness right now. I think teams know who they want to be right now, Rick. And I think a lot of it's going to be multiple picks, moving stuff down the road. I think people's core is kind of in place now. They need to plug and play and get some of these college guys in and get who they feel they need to help them improve from a youth standpoint. And of course, if you get young people, you get good salaries and you can kind of manage the books better that way. I think that's where a lot of it's going to fall into play.
Yeah, it was all strange. You're right. The whole free agency, we talked about it last week. It was what it was. Nothing really shocked anybody. It ended after a week and a half. Nothing has happened. It's
real
just
quick.
Like,
yes.
What? Why are so many guys still out? It's strange. It's just the whole thing's strange. But
it is strange. Well, it's strangely quiet. And so
strangely quiet. Yeah.
And I think maybe some of it is this 3-week stretch from the opening of free agency, and then you have March Madness, which consumes everything for 3 weeks. And so maybe some of that has been a little bit of that. I think the only two things I've heard about, well, the only two, but two of the things I've heard about was the Hurts thing, and then yesterday I heard something about Lamar. He's at the OTAs. They're trying to get him to finalize. He's in the last year of his deal with the Ravens. They really want to get that thing done, but it seems like Lamar is, taking his time with that. I think he was the highest paid. I think he's somewhere around 10th now. Clearly, he's better than that. So now they got to come to a meeting on that thing. I think that's the only thing I've kind of heard about that. But even that kind of pales, and with this week being the end of college basketball, I think now it'll start to ramp back up a little bit and find some of these folks got to kind of settle in. But if you're the Ravens, you got to get Lamar taken care of. I mean, I don't. That goes without saying, folks. I mean. What does he need? Yeah. Why aren't we getting it done? And the longer you wait, ask Jerry Jones, the longer you wait, the more you pay. So if you want to pay more, let it wait.
And now Mike Vrabel's got a bigger problem than running a football team.
Oh,
yikes.
Wow.
Hello. But anyway.
You got some splaining to do.
I think that's going to end up being something that, that's going to be much more serious than just what he did, I think. But anyway.
Not good.
No. All right, man. Listen, great stuff as always. Love spending time with you on it. And by the way, this is going to be your spot until you tell me otherwise, right? This is it.
6:30 Thursdays, we're going to do NFL. So, and listen, guys, bring your coffee or whatever. Or I'm bringing mine. You don't have to bring. What are you bringing? Correct. What do you have, Rick? Soda?
Diet. I'm a Diet Pepsi guy. I know. It's not. I know.
I used to be that. I know. I was Diet Pepsi, Diet Mountain Dew, Coke Zero.
Diet Mountain Dew. Yeah.
I was that, and then and Coke Zero was the last when I was soda guy. Coke Zero was my last one I had. It was the one that tasted more like a regular drink to me. Throughout, but to each his own, brother. To each his own.
I know. It's my vice.
It's our vices. There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
Well, enjoy the Masters. I know you will, my friend.
Yes, sir, brother. Enjoy it as well, and we will see you next Thursday morning, bright and early. Right. Let's go.
Give my best to your wife, please.
You know I will. Thank you, brother.
Take care, man. Good stuff.
Yes, sir.
David Smith. Yeah, great stuff from David Smith as always, and we appreciate him. Yeah, it's just kind of strange the way things have disappeared. The NFL's kind of disappeared other than horrible announcements about where they're going to be playing all these international games. Things like that, but it's just it's fallen off the radar a little bit. But maybe he's right. Maybe now the tournament's over, it'll pick back up. Maybe now that, we kind of hone in on the draft. But it's going to be, I think, I won't say it'll be uninteresting, but it won't be a sexy draft. It's going to be just kind of like David said, picks that make sense, but you're not going to be all excited about it. And then you watch them play, you're going to go, okay, well, I'm glad my team took that guy. He's pretty good, But without the quarterbacks leading it, that's why the quarterback's always headline, and that's why it's the thing that sells, right? It's the thing that sells. But that's not really the case this year. But thanks to David. Good stuff from him. Alex Guerra and Dwight Vick comes up here in just a little bit. Keep it bumping in chat like we're doing, and we're going to keep it bumping right now with this guy, Andy Bitter. He's the lead football writer for Tech Sideline. What's up, AB? How are you?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
Doing okay. You a big Masters guy at all?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Yeah?
I'll complain today about how difficult it is to get it on my TV at a certain point. It's an annual complaint. I used to have 2 complaints. It was that, and that was that at the MLB All-Star game, they should wear their regular uniforms during the game. And they finally went back to that. So I feel like mission accomplished there. So if I can ever get them to make the entire Masters just easy to watch on my TV. And I say that, and people are always like, oh, you can watch it on your phone, you can stream it here. It's like, I have a large TV in my living room. I just want to watch it on the big screen TV. So yeah, it's annoying.
Where is it? Is it? I know Prime's got some coverage. Where is it this morning?
It's like Paramount, and I think there might be Peacock. I don't know. It's all sorts of. It's like the NFL or MLB. It's like you have to have like 12 different streaming services to watch stuff now. It's very annoying.
Who's going to win? Who you like? Who's your favorite?
I don't know. I'm always wrong. So I think I did get Rory right last year, but that's just because I like betting Rory. My money would always be on Scheffler, but I don't think he's really coming in, hot right now. So, we'll see. Bryson's playing all right. I think he's actually the favorite in the whole thing. So I'm not giving you any like deep cuts.
No, it's fine
on these picks. Maybe John Rahm. I feel like he's been playing pretty well lately, and he's won there before. Nobody's really talking about him because he's on the Live Tour. So. Maybe give me Rahm in this one.
Okay. All right. Good call. All right. Well, we're at Thursday now. Another scrimmage coming up before the spring game. And what have you heard? What's some of the things that stand out to you, what you've learned from the last time we spoke and the folks that you've talked to and so forth?
I haven't heard a whole lot about scrimmage stuff. Last time we talked with Quayshawn Brown, interesting guy to talk to. And, I think he's going to be a big part of this offense. He looks incredibly quick out there. And I've said this a couple times. I'm not like a football evaluator or anything, but I can tell when somebody's really fast. And he just looks like he's moving at a faster speed than most of the guys out there. It's very noticeable when he comes off the line how quick he is. And you look at his production last year at Duke. I'm just looking at how he's coming in here, and I'm like, I don't know how he can't be productive in this offense. I think he's got the skills, and they're gonna get him the ball, and he's gonna put up pretty good numbers this year. So you have him and Aiden Green as your top two options at receiver. I like that pairing. Now they have other questions to answer in the rest of the receiving group, but that top two there, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And that's what people are asking now. You're talking about the wide receivers. It sounds like that they're feeling a lot better about it maybe than they were a couple of weeks ago, right? So, yeah.
I think Franklin has just seen more of them. Takai Heath, I think he's out there. There's always questions about his health. You need Brody Adams. You need Chance Wiggins to stay healthy this year. They missed all of last year. Need Marlon Jackson to come back. He's missing the spring. I think he's got a shoulder injury this year. Snook Peterkin, can he take the next step? There's just all sorts of question marks. I think Heath is maybe the one you feel best about because he had some production last year, but everybody else has pretty big question marks or youth or, something about them that they need to take the next step before you feel comfortable about them. So if you're a head coach, Al Groh used to always say, confidence is a result of demonstrated performance. It was a very, very specific line that Al would always trot out. But I've always remembered that over the years. And who's had demonstrated performance so far in the receiver group? It's really Green and Brown, and to a lesser extent, Heath a little bit. That has to leave you a little bit uncertain about your receiver core until you see them go out there and do it.
Yeah, that's a great quote. I used to love interviews with Al Groh. Al Groh was he was a smart guy. He was.
Well, cool. He was kind of a jerk. Especially
was he? He was always good when I interviewed him. I didn't know him outside of that.
The younger reporters, he always would just kind of like, it's like, why do you got to be like that, man? But when he chose to give you an answer, he always put some thought behind it. So yeah, I appreciated Al for that, and it was he always had like very specific ways of talking.
He did.
He had very like specific analogies. He has very good hand-to-eye coordination. or eye-to-hand coordination. You'd say it that way. And how does everybody else say it? It's hand-eye coordination.
Right.
Eye to hand. And then you think about it, you're like, it really is kind of eye to hand. Like that's where it starts is the eye. So he's like just very specific about the
way. Good comments about the depth of the offensive line came out yesterday, right? I mean, we've been talking about that. That's the key, and that's good to hear. If that's all legit and they like what they see, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, we'll see. I always take a we'll see approach with the offensive line just because they were coming from a spot last year that was so not great that they could be improved. And if they could be improved, it'd be a net zero instead of a negative on the offense. I think that's a big step forward. And now they had a bunch of guys last year that got hurt. And just among the first team guys that we saw yesterday, Lucas Austin played 9 snaps last year, something like that. I think that was the number. Brody Meadows missed the entire season. Montavious Cunningham didn't play after the NC State game. Those are 3 guys that were with the ones yesterday. So you talk about getting some guys back and adding a bit of depth, and that's before you even get to some of the transfers they haven't played right now. Logan Howland's been out this spring. Justin Terry just getting back into action. I think that's where you feel a lot better is because you have more options up and down this line. Now they have to take steps forward in terms of just general blocking. Pass blocking especially needs to get better. Matt Moore was talking about sort of how the operation will help them in that sense. The quarterbacks are stepping up better. They're getting rid of the ball quicker, and that in turn makes them look like better pass blockers just because that's the way that the offense is running. But they need to show improvement there as well. So I think that's still the biggest question mark on the team, but it sounds like it's in a better place than it was last year.
Andy, Derek asks on the professional door text line, can you ask AB about our pass rush? Will Virginia Tech have a sustained pass rush? That's so key to defensive success. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's to be determined. I don't feel like there's not an APR out there.
Right.
That might not even be a Ben Bell. That he got to the quarterback quite a bit. He didn't always hit him, legally at that point once he got to the quarterback, but he hit him.
True. He did.
He was around the quarterback a lot. Let's put it that way. Asen Stevens is a guy that's been brought up a lot. He doesn't have a great history of production so far. Some other guys, Derek Dandy, Jason Abbey, the Colorado guy that they brought in, whose name escapes me. I always,
me too.
Always forget what his name is, but I think he's going to play a big role here. Javion Hilson, who we've requested a couple times for interviews, and they haven't granted that. I don't know if there's something to read into that maybe he's not doing as well so far. I don't want to jump to that conclusion, but maybe it's just a young guy they don't want to have talk yet. But I think there are questions to answer there. And I don't know that there's going to be one guy that sort of leads that charge. I think it has to be a group effort. And when that's the case, it needs to be, as is always the case with the defensive line, it's going to be 4 rushing as 1 and getting after the quarterback. And I think it'll be, they're going to have to do it in numbers and make up that, the money ball thing. We need to make up the numbers in the aggregate because you're not going to have one single guy doing that. So perhaps more guys that can contribute to the pass rush this year, but I don't think they'll have that 10 sack guy or something like that.
All right. They're firing away at you again, AB. Based on what you've seen, what should fans expect to see at the spring game? You mean an overall makeup of the game or specific players? Yeah, I'm not sure what.
It's tough to say. Franklin says he wants to put on a real game. Okay, do you have enough running backs to do that? Because they're moving like walk-ons over there to be running backs. I think we saw Deed Capper, the long snapper, over there yesterday. I think that was him with the running backs. The point is, there's some guys in the running back room that I'm not even sure who they are. Marcellus Hawkins is still working his way back. Overton is there. Messiah Mickens is not practicing. So you're down to Tyler Mason and Bill Davis as the scholarship guys. You have John Butow, a walk-on there, and some other guys they've moved over. So do you have enough running backs to have 2 teams? That's my question. So it might be offense versus defense, if that's how they have to break it down, which I wouldn't hate I almost kind of like that rather than like, oh, we have this offensive line on one team, the starting tackles and the backup interior. It's like, well, they never really play together and they look disjointed. And I think sometimes it's just better to go offense versus defense in that thing. But I think they're going to try to make it as game-like as possible and put on a show. And I don't believe it's going to be televised. So they can maybe actually go out there and do some things because it's not going to be out there on film and showing everybody what their scheme is. So, we'll ask next week. I think we have a Thursday media availability next week right before the spring game. And hopefully we get some answers about what kind of show they plan to put on.
Yeah, you get kind of a late opportunity to talk to them before the spring. That's good, right? The later it gets, it's the most updated, I guess, info you can get.
Yeah, it's good for that. It's bad for trying to stretch material all the way until we get there.
What would you say, Wayne asked, is the biggest difference between Franklin and Pry's approach during the spring? You wouldn't think there'd be a huge difference since that's his mentor, Pry's, but it seems more organized, he says, and more conditioning and hustling and so forth.
Yeah, I think, and Franklin even mentioned the other day is how they have a leg up in spring is because a lot of the stuff that they're doing is what Pry did because he took it all with him from Penn State. They operate in the same manner. So, I don't know that it's too radically different this spring. I mean, it's a different person in charge and therefore a different energy at the top of the thing. And Franklin is an energetic guy and he's out there very involved in the offensive drills and kind of leaves the defense to its devices because he's got Pry over there to take care of that stuff. So he's, Franklin is there in the receiver drills and he runs across the field to congratulate a guy or instruct a guy on how to do something. Other than that, it's practice. Again, I come back to this a lot. Practice is practice, and I don't think it changes too much. There are small things that they change, but generally it's like, okay, individual drills, all right, ball security drills, inside run. I mean, the events, the drills are all basically the same. It's just what order they do them in. So I don't think it's any radical change that they've had, but it does. I think it is noticeable that Franklin has done this before for 15 years as a head coach. He just has that experience and carries himself like that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me because, like I said, that was his protege and he learned everything about it from him. So I can't imagine it'd be really different, but you're right. It does. I guess when it's coming, the noise is coming from that guy, the more experienced guy. It does make a difference, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's the biggest thing, I think.
All right. So when you break down this team as opposed to the last few that you've seen, I mean, I know it's practice, and I always think about you because you're right. This is just practice. People get so excited, and it is just practice. But what do you see as things that are standing out the most talent-wise? Is it Franklin? What do you see as the difference that gives Tech fans so much optimism heading into the season?
I think it's the depth that they have, and that's not like a very exciting answer, but I look across the team and I see few spots that are just like these pits, and like if a guy doesn't perform early on. In the past, you had no other options. You're like, we're just gonna have to roll with this guy.
That's true.
And hope that he figures it out eventually. And I think now there's more options at every position. And Franklin has mentioned this a couple of times. He wants a legitimate 3 deep across the whole team. And I don't know if they have that necessarily yet, but they're closer to it than they were last year. And I say this especially at the quarterback position, which, was a struggle last year, especially. They did not get the production they needed at that spot. It didn't seem geared to run that offense with the personnel that they had. It seemed like an offense that was very much structured to run a Tyler Bowen offense because it was. And it wasn't until he upped and left when he did late in the process. And they bring in Montgomery, who very different kind of offensive coordinator, and he didn't really have the guys to run the offense he wanted, I think, when he was here. I don't think that's the case right now, and I look at that quarterback room, and it seems like a deeper group, a group with more potential than they've had in a long time, where I think Grunkemeyer will start. I think if he gets hurt, I think Bryce Baker is a good option. And then looking long-term, I like what I've seen out of Troy Hume so far. He's young, but he'll develop, I think. And I think he looks like a very good option. I'm not trying to discount Keldon Ryan. He's still there, but Hume doesn't look like a freshman to me when he's out there. And I think just generally that quarterback room, I don't know how often in the past I've felt good about the backups that have been here. And usually it's like, okay, I think you've got a starter here, but how are the backups going to work behind them? And, amazingly, for the longest time, Virginia Tech had like one quarterback who would get through the whole year. And recently it feels like that's never happened. It feels like they're always going to their backup quarterbacks at least once or twice a year. In starts. So you're going to need those guys to go out there and perform. And that's true of every position. And I think they're in a better spot for that this season.
Well, based on, I guess, what you're talking about, Mark asked, any chance that Franklin will play two quarterback system like we saw Pry try to do?
I don't think he'll play two. I think there is the potential for a wildcat option. And I think A.J. Brand fits that bill. They've already talked about him doing that a little bit. No, I think Franklin has done this long enough to know that it just doesn't work. That every coach in the history of football is like, I think we'll play two guys here, and it just doesn't work. And that was an early Brent Pry mistake, thinking he was going to be able to play two quarterbacks. We got Grant Wells, but we got a package for Kyron Drones as well. And it's like that didn't even come close to working. Then Wells got hurt, and it solved the issue by itself. But it feels like every coach feels like he's the exception to the two quarterback rule. I can make it work. It's the Arrested Development thing. It hasn't worked for anybody else, but it might work for us. It's like, no, I don't think it's going to. So Franklin is a smart enough coach. Has been doing this long enough to understand. And he's a quarterback. You go to his history. He understands the position and how that's unique to everything else on the field. He knows that you can't have two guys in that spot. So I think he's going to roll with one. And then, historically at Penn State, they've had a wildcat option. Tyler Warren a couple years ago, tight end stepping in and doing that stuff. I would imagine it would be A.J. Brand here because he's been a quarterback. But that's the secondary option I think you see here.
Travis says, Andy, doesn't feel like we're going to have all the problems that Brent Pry had with procedure and so forth. Man, I couldn't watch a game without 4 or 5 penalties falling. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I would hope not. You can never tell till you get out there. I mean, the one, what was the NC State game a couple years ago where they have like 11 false starts?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
And that was that's football 101, right? What's the snap count? We only have one. Just go out there and follow that one. And it was sort of loud at NC State, but not for half that game. The game was 0-0 at halftime, I think, something like that. I would imagine they're not going to run into that, but who knows? We'll see once they get out there.
I know. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, and everybody's staying healthy, right? So far, so good for the most part. I haven't
so
heard
far, but it's football. It's one misstep.
I know.
Yeah, how many guys get injured late? I remember at Wisconsin at the spring game. It was like the last snap that he was going to play. It was Lee Evans, their star wide receiver. It was the last snap he was going to play. Like Barry Alvarez was in the press box, and because he was up there during the game. And going down to the field, and Evans tore his ACL.
Yeah.
And he was out for the year. And it's like, what? This is why you don't play those guys in a game of that caliber. It's because you want them for the season. So, knock on wood, nobody's been severely hurt so far.
Yeah, well, it's good. That's been the best news so far. Like you said, knock on wood. All right, man. Well, listen, great stuff as always. Appreciate it. Thanks for answering Peep's questions, and look forward to catching up next week, man. We'll be here right on the cusp of the start of the spring game. So
That's right. Sounds good.
All right, man. Take care. Be good.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, CB. There you go. Good stuff. Good questions. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate that. All seems good, doesn't it? Right now, all seems good, which is a very positive thing. So. Sorry, I'm battling. I think I'm battling a little bit of a bug. We have that cold weather, warm weather, and then you have to be out in it because you're calling games. I think it's kind of put a little bug in my system. Thanks to Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel, sponsor of our T-shirts. $20 if you want a T-shirt. The NRV Super Bowl has been serving the community for 25 years. 382-5525, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. Give James a call at 540-331-8011. Parts for plumbing, your windows, your doors. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic, sponsor of our chat room. We have Alex Guerra coming up, the baseball coach at Radford. The Highlanders are rolling once again. And then Dwight Vick, which you never want to miss. We're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Thanks to Jonathan Sweet, Tim Miller, and the gang. More racing coming up this weekend. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Give Charles Lee a call. The attorney, Ryan Pry, our fan question of the week, 701 West Main Street in Radford. And Bryson DeChambeau is winning. We'll have the final result tomorrow. And I know the tourney starts today, but I think people, they won't just pick their person if they decide to send that in because of round one. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner, BDST here on YouTube. Professional Door Incorporated. Residential commercial garage doors, family owned and operated for 38 years. Travis Williams is doing a great job. The ReadySetFund.com. Check them out. Read on what they do. It's a series of text messages, or just email and ask Bob Chris directly, BOBCRST11@gmail. And Sundown Electric, our newest sponsor. Excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients. Superior craftsmanship, attention to detail, communication, keep the cost down, and superior work. Hit us up in the chat room, anything that's on your mind. So this casual golf guy is going to try to get into the Masters today. I'm glad to see so many people. It's still just every time I refresh on X, everybody's ripping ESPN for the crap show of what they tried to do yesterday with Kelsey. Just, by the way, Davey Lopes passed away. Davey Lopes was a longtime Los Angeles Dodger, and he was also first base coach for the Padres, 98, when we went back to the World Series. He passed away at the age of 80. And everybody remembers number 15. He was a guy that was a terrific leadoff hitter. He could steal bases. That infield for the Dodgers back then they were together a long time, right? Steve Garvey, Davey Lopes, Bill Russell, and the Penguin Ron Cey. And that's when you grow up. I never was a Dodgers fan, but that's when you grew up watching baseball, and those guys were mainstays. And so, yeah, rest in peace, Davey Lopes, man. Sad news. Great, good life, 80. Really good dude. I saw some interviews with him when he's with the Padres, and hope he rests in peace. That's sad news. I don't either, Wayne. The Kelseys have already overstayed their welcome. Can you imagine listening to their show? I mean, my God. And the way when you see the footage of Jason Kelsey, the way he disrespected everything about the Masters yesterday because he had a camera in front of him. Kevin Hart. What are they doing? How can they have such little self-awareness over there? I don't understand. I'll never understand it. I don't know. That's how far we talk about how far the media has fallen. We talk about how far journalism has fallen. We talk about it's all access media, so you don't lose your rights to be able to be gifted tickets or interviews or whatever it is. It's just they don't have any self-awareness. Why did they pay that guy anything? Like, why? I know he falls in line with everything they are politically, so that's why. I don't know. For a place that throws out anyone who has a cell phone, they let those guys come and just completely disrespect the grounds yesterday. How does that work? How was that okay? I'm surprised Masters people let it happen, to be honest with you. No, I agree, Darren. It's not going to be the same. It's not. Look, I'm not talking about everything that has happened with Tiger since, but yeah, it's not the same. Those were really that was some fun stuff. Watching when he got the Tiger Slam and when he won, those are special sports moments, not just Masters moments. Those were special all-time moments with Tiger at Augusta. No, they do not, Wayne. Nobody's going to look at the Kelseys and think, oh, I have to do that, because there they are. They're already multi-millionaires. Yeah, exactly. I never was a Dodgers fan, but that was that infield, man. You know, Davey Lopes passed away. Sad news. Sad news. Now, those guys won't be part of anything now. I'm sure. I don't know where that was that they did all their crap, but that whole and McAfee out there with them. Either it's a hallowed place or it's not a hallowed place. Shouldn't be any in between. Nobody else is out there doing that other than ESPN. So that pretty much tells you all you need to know. You give that guy the kind of money they gave him. I think they sat around and realized, oh, we've got nothing to do with him because it's not football season. Let's send him to Augusta. I mean, do they think that most people are going to sit around going, that's funny, look, he's wearing caddy gear. Got Kelsey on the back. Look how he's drinking beer. He's putting like he's playing pool. Let's see if we can just bring in the lowest common denominator to one of the most prestigious sporting events this country has. Let's just do that because we're ESPN. Wow. Just wow. Good stuff, though, from David Smith, the Radford University Hall of Famer, and Andy Bitter. Dwight Vick's coming up here in about half an hour. Yeah, it's sad news about Davey Lopes, man. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Ben Hogan, Arnold Palmer rolling in the grave. Yeah, that was the epitome of embarrassment. It was. But they don't understand that. There's no self-awareness. So they think it's great. They think it's great. I'm sure they ran it on their little highlight shows too, like all night. Yeah. You know they did. You know they did. All right. I'm going to switch gears now. Joining us now on the program, I'm watching him in the green room. I think he's ready to go here. Yeah. Are you sure he's good? It's Alex Guerra, the head baseball coach of now.
What's up, Rick?
The hot Radford Highlanders once again. What's up, man? How are you?
Good, buddy. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Doing
Well, let's go back now for a review here. Good weekend for the Highs. You take 2 out of 3 against Upstate. Good things to finish out that series, I thought. And then you get a nice win against a very good ETSU team. Midweeks aren't easy, especially this time of year, but your guys 3 out of 4, man, heading into a big weekend series coming up down the road in High Point.
It was an awesome weekend. Upstate they're an excellent team, obviously the defending champs, and it was important for us to get back on the right track. I mean, we had a really good weekend against Longwood the week before.
Yep.
I just feel like we're building some really good momentum, and we've been playing good. Like I said, been playing really good baseball. And Upstate's a quality team, and if you want to be at the top of the league, you got to be able to go through them, and you got to be able to protect your home field. And I think that's extremely important when we're playing at home. We've got to take advantage of our routine, the atmosphere, the comfort. I thought we did a really good job. Good baseball. I thought Friday our bullpen was outstanding.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was fun.
They were awesome. I mean, I think if those guys can continue to throw the way they've been throwing, we're going to have a chance to be in every single game.
Well,
I really like the way the guys have been swinging the bat.
Oh, I know. That's the thing. Yeah, the quality at bats is what is really standing out to me too. Those guys are battling. They don't give up. 2 strikes. They're still being smart with their plan. They don't get desperate, right? And that we've mentioned this, the change that you're now there on the front of the step. I mean, I think guys are hearing you, and I think it's made a big difference. I really do.
Yeah, I think that there's, when you're around these kids for such a long period of time, there's a comfort level that you have just with, even if it's nonverbals. I think that's the cool piece about it. Bewit the other day was he was in the box and he fouled a pitch off and kind of just went like this, just as a reminder for his hands. And then a lot of times it can be a little bit of some trickery of the mind as well. Like sometimes it may not be the case, but when you have that type of relationship with guys that you're able to have these reminders and nonverbals, it just gets them back on the right track and keeps them confident, tricks their brain a little bit. But no, I think the plans that the guys have been having when they're going up to the plate, I definitely see a different group for sure. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like with any aspect of your team, as long as you're continuing to get better as the season progresses, we're kind of very similar to where we were a little bit last year, maybe a little bit past the halfway mark. Similar time where I felt like we started to really kind of hit our momentum and kind of roll, right? So my hope is that we were able to gain some of that over these last couple of weeks, but one game at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
One game at a time, and I think I'm just really proud of the way our guys have just continued to be resilient, continued to show up. We had a little bit of a come to Jesus meeting after that VMI, which I felt like was a real productive 36 hours as far as the conversations we were having. And then with practice going into that JMU game, I've definitely sensed a little bit of just a different sense of urgency, a different level of focus, intensity, preparation. To be honest with you, I feel like we've been in a really good place, since that Sunday at VMI. So I'm excited about it. We got a huge challenge this weekend, no question about it. But I love the headspace and I love where our guys are at right now. We've had real good days of practice. Yesterday was a great day. It was light, but it was productive. It was energetic. It was focused. So I'm really pleased with where our guys are at going into this weekend.
It's interesting, AJ. I heard you talk about the nonverbal communication. I remember Joe Torre talking about that with the Yankees. He talked about how important that is to develop that with guys. You don't have to always say something, whether it's whatever it might be, and how you have that chemistry. It's unique. He used to say it was unique to baseball. Because it was what you said. You're together every day of course, Major League Baseball, it's 6 months, but you're together for 4 or 5. So talk about that. It's interesting you say that because I was like, oh yeah, I heard Joe Torre say the same thing about that Yankees team. Those Yankees teams. So
yeah, it can be anything. Whether it comes to like an offensive hitter, for example, if there's certain reminders, that you need to tell him that can help him. That's not going to make them overthink it. That's not going to be too over the top. Could be something with their hands. It could be something with like their hip. I mean, really could be anything. You got the mechanical side of it, and then you've got, other things to kind of refocus them and kind of get them back into their grounded headspace if they're frustrated. We've had plenty of those guys before. They just kind of like you grab their attention and you just kind of give them the look or whether it's a calmness, whether it's a reminder here, little things like that. Or, our guys will step out after we get the 2 strikes and we'll pound our chest. And it's just a reminder of like, hey, like this, I got you. Like, I got your back.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight my, what off. And, so we've kind of just developed those things over time. But a lot of the times the nonverbals with the hitters have just been a quick reminder. I mean, Chase DeLauder, who's I had the unique pleasure of coaching him when I was at James Madison. He's with the Indians now. I mean, he was one of those players that believed that he should have hit a home run every time up. He was wired that way. Very, very unique mind. And you needed to kind of trick him a little bit. So if he fouled a pitch off, he was never going to give credit to the pitcher by any means. So it's probably something that he did wrong. And, whether it's, hey, like one of the things we always talk about with him is like keeping his hands back as long as possible. Or I would like punch my hip, right? There were other guys that like wanted me to like point down at them, just to keep their posture. But whatever reminder that would work for them. And then, I'm not playing MLB The Show where it's like, okay, like
right.
do this, and I hit the X button and you did a home run. Like, I'm not that type of coach. I don't believe that it's you say something, they get a hit, and it's like, oh, well, see, I told you. I think it's a lot of that is just a little bit of a tricking of the brain. So.
Along those lines, Wayne asked a question. Coach, obviously having physical skills are very important and practicing those, but what about the mental part of the game? Baseball is a lot like golf like that, I guess. What does Radford do to work on the mental part of the game, especially, this season and so forth? Yeah, it is comparable to golf a little bit, man. Baseball is, man, it can get you. It can get you just like golf can.
Yeah, it's a challenge for sure. We do have sports psychologists. What I'll tell you is this, and I tell every single player, especially our young guys, like, you gotta fail and you gotta deal with it. Like, you gotta learn how to fail in this game. You're not gonna have success every time up, especially offensively. I mean, you're failing 70% of the time. And look, at the end of the day, like, you've got to be understanding of that before you even pick up a bat or a glove, or before you make an appointment with a sports psychologist, or anything. Because if you're going to beat the out of yourself every single time you get out, you're going to torture yourself. And I know I think my 20-year-old self right now would probably laugh at me saying this.
Right.
Which is true, but I didn't figure those things out until I was later on in my career, right? Like, we try to preach to the guys like a one pitch, one at bat, one day mentality. Like, be as present as you possibly can. I think when you try to talk about getting on a roll, or let's go on a run, or let's go have, hey, man, like, I'm going to go on a roll here offensively. Like, I need to be X for this in order for my batting average to get to a certain point. I think you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to fail. And I think it's trying to stay as present as you possibly can, focusing on the process of things. I think that it's a hard game. It's a really hard game.
It's a hard game.
It's really challenging. And, especially in today's world where anything you do, anything you say can be publicized to the world. There was a video the other day of the Louisiana Tech coach, like, going after the JMU dugout. And Joe and I were texting, and he's like, man, they said they've never seen a coach go after another opposing dugout before. And we both knew what we were talking about. was like, man, too bad they didn't have cameras back then. Or maybe lucky for us they didn't have video back then. Like, I don't know.
Maybe so.
You know what I mean?
Maybe
So it's and it's where the instantaneous success has got to be like right there in front of you. There's a lot of different pressures that these guys got to deal with. But at the end of the day, like the game is hard. You got to know that going into it. You just
that's a great point. That's a great
Otherwise,
point.
don't play it.
Yeah.
Like,
Got to
don't
learn
play
how
the game
to
if
fail.
you don't know. You got, and the best way to get experience is by getting experience. You know, the other day we had Brooks Simpson, who's been playing for us.
Yeah.
These last few games, freshman, he's been
I
playing
like
really
watching
well.
him. Yeah.
First and second, we do a pitch and change. And it was I think we were up by 2 at the time. I said, hey, we're gonna double steal here. We're gonna fake bunt double steal. And we had all the hitters together. I was like, everybody relax, like don't make it obvious. Just stay where you're at and just listen to me. I said, we're gonna do fake bunt double steal. If we go no look, Brooks, like you're just gonna creep, and on first move, you're gonna go. If he looks at you, then we'll just go off of one look. And he was looking at me, and he's like, all right, I got it. Like kind of like that side eye. Okay. I turned into the dugout and I said, we might have a moment here, guys. I forget who was sitting next to me. What do you mean? So we might have a freshman moment right here. So he's either going to steal this base. I said, he's either going to steal this base and he's going to beat it by 30 feet, or he's going to hesitate and I don't know. He ended up getting thrown out. I think if he dove head first, he would have been safe. But regardless of it is, you got to have those moments early on in your career where you just fail, and then you learn. That's the best way that you can learn. And that's why in that moment we're winning. It's, the 6th or 7th inning. This is a great opportunity for us to be aggressive after a pitch and change. And you got to be okay with him making a mistake there. You want him to obviously do well, but like you've got to be okay with him having a slight hesitation. He's just, that's coaching. That's true development. I truly believe that. Game-like reps in the game, not off a machine, not off a front toss, not off of inner squad. Like you got to get in there and you've got to fail. You got to deal with it. So,
well, I'll tell you, he gave you a big lift, man, in right field. He approaches the game. You can just kind of see it. I think he approaches the game the right way. While Devin's down, you have to have somebody who creates stability. And I thought he did a nice job the last 2 days of this. So yeah, he's going to be cool. I've developed a man crush on Jun Ho. Watching him field balls, I'm telling you what, man, that guy. I mean, the way those short hops and the way he just. It's not easy. You're talking about how hard the game is. I just sit there and marvel on the air. Like, how does he make it look? He knows exactly how high it. The guy can just play, man. I like watching him play defense. He's really, really good at third. Really good.
He's done a nice job. I'll be the first to tell you, like there are times I can't stand how he fields the ball.
Yeah.
Just in practice, I mean, that's not. The things you're talking about how like he's catching it like back up here like this, I'm just like not really necessarily the way I would teach it, but he's making the plays. He's having great at bats. He's doing really well. I think that's just it's a situation to where, here's a kid that's, 23, 26 hours away from home. He's to scrutinize and overcoach every little thing that he does. I think I don't really think that's the best thing to do for him. But Sonny's been awesome. He's had great at bats. He's made huge plays when we needed to. He's been very accurate with his arm. I'd like for him to have a little more oomph on the bases, I would say, is probably the best way I would describe it.
Yeah.
Just a little more oomph over there. I think he's, getting more comfortable being out on the bases, but he can swing it, man. He's done a really good job against lefties, of late. he's kind of been our catalyst. He's kind of got everything going for us. So he's been great. Doesn't strike out and is great at, doesn't chase out of the zone. So
he does not.
He's been awesome.
Well, you mentioned High Point, big series this weekend. Of course, they're playing extremely well. What kind of things do they do well for fans that are going to follow the Highlanders on the road this weekend?
They can swing it. That's kind of been what they've kind of hung their hat on the last couple of years. They've got some physical kids that, that they want to get after it and they want to launch probably throughout the entirety of their bat. They've also, they've got some nice players at the top of the lineup that can run. Their middle of the order is going to be a challenge for sure. They got the preseason pitcher of the year in Wade Walton going on Friday night. He was the freshman of the year in the league last year. So they can kind of do a little bit of everything. I mean, they're 21-9, I believe.
Yeah.
Mistaken. 21-9. They took 2 out of 3 from the University of Florida at Florida. Probably should have swept them, to be honest.
Yeah, they should have.
But they're offensive. They're very well coached. Joey does a great job over there with those guys. And they can run a little bit. But they're gonna ride their starters. They got a handful of guys out of the pen that they'll go to, but they're gonna rely on and ride out those three starting pitchers. They can defend, but offensively, if we can pitch them and locate and execute, then I feel real confident that no matter who we play, we're going to put ourselves in position to be successful.
Absolutely.
And that's been the message, for the last couple of weeks is to really play our game and take it one day at a time.
And it's turned them around. They're receiving the message. Well, listen, man, I know it's a short trip, but safe travels and best of luck, man, getting off to a good start tomorrow night.
Appreciate it, Rick. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, brother, man. Appreciate you, man.
All right,
good stuff. All right, man. Take care. All right, man. There you go. Alex Guerra, head baseball coach at Radford. Great stuff. And that's a couple of great points there. That the silent communication is so important. And I do see that happen a lot. You don't realize it's happening but now you know what guys are doing when they look over, and there's always a process to all this stuff. And college baseball is hard. Baseball is so hard. I mean, it just is. It's just a hard game. And young guys need to learn how to play it at that level, jumping up, like you mentioned with Brooks. It's good stuff. You fail 70% of the time. It's a sport that excels in your failing. And golf is kind of like that, right? It's a good comparison, I think. We got the Masters starting today, and we're talking baseball, but it's the same thing. But they are playing well. And we'll see what they have to do with with High Point. Is it harder than Panera Bread? Ooh, that's tough. That's tough. I would have to say no. I would say that Panera Bread is harder, TLB, than by the way, this is what's fun. This is what's funny. It was a random thing. So, my son and my youngest son and my daughter came in. My oldest son's not in this area, but came in for Easter, and Beyonce's son and his girlfriend came over. And of course, it's Easter Sunday, so I made steaks. Not doing any of that ham stuff. But I heard there's just a casual conversation between my daughter and her name is Kate. And I hear something about how she was talking about how, I've gotten to the point where I can't eat Panera anymore because everything is so It's just not fresh. I'm thinking, so what you mean is everything you eat there is hard. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Here we are. We talk about it on the show. Of course, I make fun of it all the time. And then here's just two young, and that's the demographic, by the way, young women, professional women, Guerra. That's who they gear toward. And it was just something I caught as I was out by that. I just started chuckling. See, I'm right about this stuff. You may not think about it, but boy, I'm right. And you know, the next time that you are coerced to go there by your significant other, and you're sitting there and you realize I'm at Panera, and then you're going to get that bite, and then you're going to dip something into that soup that's gotten cold in the 3 minutes that they brought it out, and you're going to go, you know, I hear Rick talk about it all the time on BDST. I don't think he's exaggerating. Somebody just said that. The ambulance. Oh, I know, Wayne. Yeah, I don't know if I'd go around, don't know if I'd go around bragging about that. Wayne's the one in that relationship that's got to be at Panera. But I did think that was pretty funny. I don't know. I haven't brought up Dave Matthews. I don't know. I'm not even sure they would even know who that is. My daughter would. Nothing makes me happier than when you get into one of your kids' vehicles or you hear sounds coming from their devices, and it's the music that you introduced to them at a very young age. That makes me happy. There's a song that you won't know by Queen called The Millionaire's Waltz. And it has really wonderful piano in it. And my son, who's very adept musically, I hear from up in his room, I hear The Millionaire's Waltz. I'm like, is that he must be listening to that. No, he was playing it on his piano. I'm like, yeah. I reached him. He's gotten really good. He's taken one of his courses down there, and he's developing the yes, I'm in dad brag mode now, but he's developing the ability to play without he's just listening. And I'm like, so I thought that was cool. Like Poison. They play that, right? No, we don't hear any non-rhyming songs from Poison up there. Nothing but a good time blaring from his room. No, that hasn't happened. But it does do my heart proud. That's the worst part. That's the worst part. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, Steven. I don't know. Like my son wearing my clothes growing up through teenage, I knew I was cool. There you go. Yeah. 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 Stuff, just little victories, because when they get older, you lose them kind of, they just are on their own doing their thing. You spent your life dedicated, and So little things like that means that, he doesn't know that I'm down there like enjoying it. This is just what he's doing. It's part of who he is. And my daughter comes in the other day and she's like sitting down at the counter and we're catching up, and she, I have the Alexa there. She goes, "Hey Alexa, play songs by the Babies." And I'm a big, if anybody knows, Wayne knows, the Babies, low key, one of my favorite bands with John Waite, who later had a pretty big solo career, but he came up in that band. And one of her favorite songs is "Isn't It Time" by the Babies. And I didn't realize that till like a few weeks ago. I mean, I'd played it for her and she'd listened to it. And now she's like, "Yeah, I have to listen to that song every day." I'm like, it's good. Good, y'all. Congratulations, T-Bird. He bought another guitar yesterday, a Fender acoustic. T-Bird, now you're the talented musician. We got to make sure you're over. You need to bring your guitar when we have our meetup over at the Super Bowl. Dwight Vick joins us next, coming up, by the way. Yeah. Have to bring your guitar. Don't know about talent. Yeah, that'd be cool. People would love to hear it. We can get you and Jen. Maybe we'll make Jen bring her sax and you two can do a combo. Something like that. That'd be awesome. Just awesome. So maybe we can work on that. Great interaction today on the professional door text line. We're getting a lot of stuff. I guarantee you T-Bird will perform before Jen. The acoustic version of Every Rose Has Its Thorn? No. Well, I don't know. It's up to T-Bird if he wants to play that kind. I have to bring an amp, so we're both pretty loud. Okay, well. We could station you out in the parking lot. You can just be jamming the whole time. It'd be great. No. Todd asked me. I'm not musically inclined. I love music, but no, I'm not I'd love to have learned to play the piano like my son has done. I'm very jealous. He's got that musical ear. But, love music. I always wished I could have. Maybe I should have spent more time, but I didn't. T-Bird says my favorite pick broke and I can't find one like it. Therefore, he's out. That's pretty funny. Yeah, and Jen will be on tomorrow, and I've got remember how she said she wanted to rehearse? I've gotten absolutely no message. Hey, do you want to rehearse tonight and see how it sounds? No. So I'm guessing we're going to be saxless again tomorrow. What is it? Wayne, what is it you said? Saxless in Seattle? Saxless in Columbia? Morris says he'll bring his Martin acoustic. T-Bird, teach me a few things. I have picks and I'm a whiz at GC and D. All right, well, you guys get out there. You know what? You can be like a version of Hee Haw here on BDST. Picking and grinning. You can be Buck and Roy. I'm a picking and I'm a grinning. Saxless Whisper, that's what it was. Dwight says he'll be here in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. But yeah, it blows me away. That's why I like watching live music, especially when it's more of a smaller venue. I like watching the musicians. It's just they're so talented. I think writing songs and creating music has to be one of the most difficult ventures ever, right? Especially now today when it's so bad and everything's just recycled and it's auto-tune and all this crap. You know how many times I've heard songs be incorporated in today's whatever they call it from our era, and the people think they don't understand those songs are already out before. So frustrating. But auto-tune has ruined the music industry, and it's created millions of dollars for people who have very little talent. I hear some of the stuff at warm-ups for our games, and you're just, how? I don't know. I've been battling this little bug. I mentioned that earlier. I'm not feeling great. I'm not feeling great right now. Yeah. A nice acoustic set by Nirvana. No. I never understood the Nirvana thing. That can be an unpopular opinion, but I never understood the Nirvana thing. I like the riff and Smells Like Teen Spirit, but I never understood the Nirvana thing. Ever. Never got that. Joining us now on the program, there he is. He is Dwight Vick, the quintessential source for all things Virginia Tech football. Of course, he's dedicated his life to helping his fellow man. What's up, DV? Good morning, brother.
Hey, good morning, man. Good morning. I had to let my iPad reboot, so
no, that's all right. No problem. Good to have you here, man. Good. How are you? Man. How's your week? Yeah, how are you? How's your son? Everybody staying even keel right now?
Oh yeah, thank you. Everybody's good, man. They were in spring. Well, he's in college. I had 3 kids. Two of my oldest ones, my son and my oldest daughter, she celebrated her birthday yesterday, so she's 22.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yeah, she's 22, and then Zay is he is going to commit this week, so we'll find out where he's going to go. Yeah, so it'll be good. He's D1 where he finally put himself in position to be at where many people felt he was that all along, but he's worked really hard. And my youngest, volleyball. Yeah, people talk a lot about basketball, but volleyball is a long season too, man, especially club. So
yes,
I'm busy, man. I'm busy with work. I'm busy with supporting and parenting my kids. Even when your kids, as you already know, when they get to college, even when they get out, you're still parenting them.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're still parenting them. Yep.
No. But like Monday, I had to go down and grab stuff, right? It's like I had to go to Wise because I don't want to wait till moving day because stuff he's not using that he can't bring back in his smaller car. So I went to took my truck and all right, I'm going to spend a day down there. You're right.
Yeah.
It never ends.
It never ends, man. There's always something. Money, love, which is what you got to do. It's what you got to provide. And I take pride in doing it. You just got to make sure you take care of yourself.
Well, congrats, man. That's cool. I'm glad he's come to the end of his journey and he feels good about it. Do you know the specific day? Has he chosen the day yet? So we can keep an eye out for it.
Well, to be honest with you, I think he already knows. I think it's just so funny. You talk a lot about NIL and the portal. I'm living and going through it personally. I've learned so much. So, the one thing you got to do is you got to make sure that the school and your rep, your agent, your team agree on not just the NIL, but the logistics of it. So, you don't want to commit and put a post out there on Twitter or on Instagram, because you got to make sure, because this stuff is so different from obviously back in the day where you have to make sure that everything you need as far as your contractual stipulations are explain. Because if not, any type of thing you do while it's being reviewed and negotiated can compromise your contract. So you just have to wait. It's just amazing to me how this works, but it's cool. I mean, look, I've said this to you before. A lot of these guys and women are not in it, just solely for the money. Like for Isaiah, he's really in a position where he's going to get paid, but it's not going to be like millions, because the mid-major and the high majors would use what they call metrics, right? So the misconception on Twitter, aka X, is that every kid gets 400, 900, a million. No. To protect the integrity of the budgets of the mid-majors and low-major D1 programs, and even some high majors, nobody wants to be what Kentucky has been in the last recent years, where they have 23 million. So a lot of these kids are not getting paid more than they're worth because budgets can't sustain that. So what they do is they have a metric system. Some include AI, but they're looking at, okay, you played in this conference, the conference ranking, your numbers, your competition, your measurables as an athlete, all go into a formula of what you are worth. So there is a rating system. There is a system that says we're only going to give you $75,000. I don't care if you ask for $500,000. You're not worth that. And this is why, people see like two players that go to BYU and they're like, they are paying him well, that kid is going to be a lottery pick, and that kid is also worth that. So that's what I've learned, is that everyone, and I can't speak so much for football, but I think it's really similar from what I'm learning. But with basketball, especially with the growth of the portal and all the money that's involved, the agent will contact the school and say, well, what is it you want with our client? And they're like, okay, we need a wing, we need a forward. Okay, well, this is our asking price. And then they'll get back to you, or they'll tell you right now, no, we're not giving you 90,000. He's not 90,000. It's not even personal. It's just more so what they have.
Yeah, right.
Because they have, colleges have always had a board, but now they have a board of what they need, what
That's
they're
right.
losing. And also they have a ranking system based on you are worth this. So I will say this, I'll speak on behalf of my son. He knows his worth, but for him, a kid that's really been good, he just wants to play. He's excited about playing at the D1 level, playing against Texas A&M, if that's the team they're going to play out of conference, and LSU and Syracuse. I mean, there was a coach, one of the coaches that are recruiting Isaiah said he talked to 3 or 4 coaches in the SAC, the D2 league, the SAC that he was in, which is a very tough conference. And 2 of the coaches told the coaches that as a freshman, Isaiah was easily one of the best players in the league and could have been player of the year. That's how good he was as a freshman. So to me, if he can take that same energy and work ethic to this next level, who knows? Now, people may say, hey, well, would your son really go to 4 schools in 4 years? Isaiah wants to play at the highest level, which is Power 4. So if he does what he does at this next school and does real well and has an opportunity to move up, he will. But he's not trying to move up and play. He's not even 20 yet. He's 19. He's not trying to play till he's 25 because he can't. He's only 19 right now, he'll be 20. But he would like to finish out possibly his last 2 years at a ACC, Big Ten, or SEC school.
Sure.
But that makes sense, and I'm on top of him about his grades and his academics. So, but it's. I will say this: I am learning, just like a lot of fans are. I will caution people when people say this is doing this is hurting this. It's not as bad as you think. I think what happens is the narrative overshadows the truth of what's going on. A lot of kids, men and women, athletes, are getting paid what they're worth versus the trend, I think the trend, Rick, when this first started, is that a lot of people were just paying because there was no systematic approach. They were overpaying.
Yeah. Come play for us. Here. Yeah.
Yeah. And we talked about that even with Virginia Tech. I said to you one time that Virginia Tech, I feel like there were some players that were being overpaid because when I look at the product on the field, they weren't matching that. That's why I brought up Kentucky. Not to throw shade at Kentucky, but, you know, when Dickie V was talking about this is what your return of investment is on $22 million, that's a very high paid roster. And I've always said this, even when I played, when the Rivals era began to come into fruition, every 5-star and 4-star not created equally. So, you know, I was critical of some coaches don't know how to evaluate. Well, I used to work for Rivals and 247. And many of these guys don't know how to evaluate the players because I'm like, man, y'all killing me. That's a 5-star. That's a 5-star.
They have no idea.
I know I'm the old man sitting on the porch right now, but I played against real 5-stars. I played against Allen Iverson when he was in high school, a.k.a. Bubba Chuck. He was a 5-star before Rivals and 247 and existed. He was a 5-star. A 5-star, a 4-star, you know within 5 minutes of the game, if not sooner. Oh, yeah, this guy or this girl is the truth.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you just use your eyes and understand how the game is played. Whereas, hey, I haven't seen that guy, but hey, Ohio State just offered. So I tell you what, we're going to give him another 1.5 stars.
Exactly.
Right. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting, though, to know that he got through this, you know, if you will, unscathed, and he's looking at it as just the next jump before he tries maybe to reach the next level. That's pretty cool. And you're kind of taking people inside of this because it's so prominent right now. Heck, we seem like we talk about it every day in some capacity with college sports. So it's cool to get your insight on what you guys have experienced. That's a nice insight for everybody.
Yeah, and I can tell you this now. I mean, he heard from Liberty, William and Mary, Radford. He heard from a lot of good, very, very good mid-majors. But, you know, it's very challenging when you're in this position because you can hear from a school. He could talk, a coach could talk to you, could talk to your agent, and he could like you a lot. And then you might not hear from him 2 weeks later. You might not hear from him ever again because they may have a kid that decides to stay. Or they may have a situation where we like you a lot, but we like this kid better, and we need this kid, and that's fine. It's shopping. It's shopping of players.
It is.
You're evaluating. You're recruiting. You have to have perspective, and I think not to put myself or my wife on a pedestal, but we've been married 25 years. In June, I met her at Virginia Tech. That means we've been together 29 years total, and she was a track star in high school, didn't run in college, but should have. All met, and I was obviously, y'all know my resume. So my 3 kids, especially my son being an athlete, my youngest daughter's an athlete too. Well, all my kids were, but with Isaiah in this new era of collegiate sports, you still have parents who are grounded. I'm not LeVar Ball. I'm not, and that's no shade to him. That's no shade to LeVar Ball because 2 of his 3 sons are in the NBA. But what I'm saying is that I understand the journey Isaiah was on. He went to Fort Union, he prepped. I understand that you can only go to one school. And I understand that very few people in this world play collegiate sports. So it's really about maximizing the opportunity and embracing the opportunity of living your dream and understanding perspective. Like, you know, he told his agent the other day, he said, look, man, because he was like, you're getting a load of interest. You know, he said, you're getting a hell of a lot of interest, right? And Isaiah was like, that's cool, but I can only go to one school, right? So, yeah. So, I mean, I do think he's very hungry. Even though he had an outstanding freshman year, I do think he's hungry. He's got a lot to prove to himself, because he doesn't want to just excel and be complacent. And I think that's the other thing too. And this happens a lot in pro sports, but I think with some young men and young women is when they get the bag or they get to a level, they sometimes, not all, but some of them exhale like, okay, I'm good. No, I've always felt when you get to the highest level of collegiate sports, that's when you should go harder. That's when you should work even harder to justify your position there. Some guys are like, I mean, think about how comfortable some of these guys and ladies get when they're driving around in a Hellcat and you're making $400,000. You can give, you know, your dad $90,000. You can help pay for bills. It's a very great feeling, but you got to pay your quarterly taxes. You got to be in a situation where you manage it correctly. You got to understand that eventually it's all going to end. So how do you become the next Anthony Midget? How do you become the next Pearson Prelo? How do you become the next Michael Vick, where when your athletic career ends, do you go into coaching? Do you go into the classroom, or are you going to become a principal like Derek Smith, the former Virginia Tech great? Are you going to be like Sharon Stith, who is a PE teacher and used to coach football? Like, what are you going to do? Because
right.
As crazy as this sounds, and this is going to sound crazy to some people, unless they had their coffee, this is going to make sense. $300,000, $500,000, or $700,000 is a lot of money, but over the course of time, for a 20-something-year-old, it's going to go quick, because some of that you got to pay taxes on. Your agent gets a cut, and that's not going to sustain you over the next how many years of your life. You got to use something with that money, and you have to have a career. And that's the one thing I'm on my son about as well, is like, hey, eventually, even though I think you could go pro in some capacity, what are you going to do? What is your journey going to take you when your career is over in one chapter, meaning sports? What do you do next? You're going to coach? That's great. But that's a journey where you got to have more than just, you know, oh yeah, I used to play, because nobody cares that you used to play. It may be relative, but how do you transition into adulthood, right? So that's what I'm on him about. And I talk to a lot of young men about that play sports, and women. You know, how do you transition? Because, you know, at the end of the day, you got to get a job, like, after this ends.
No, you're right. Well, and the foundation that you and your wife are giving Isaiah and all your kids, but in this specific, you know, instance with the things he's gone through and what he's working for, when it does, if it, you know, when it comes to an end at some point later on in his life, he's going to remember all that. And I think he'll be able to segue out of it. A lot of kids aren't prepared to do that. We're hearing horror stories of these kids that are getting this terrible advice and people want to be greedy off of, and just, they want to jump on them like those little fish jump on the sharks, you know, as they're traveling through the, you know, the ocean. And so they don't have a plan. But it sounds like no matter what happens with Isaiah going forward, he's going to be able to say, all right, mom and dad gave me this, so it's awesome. This part of my life's been awesome. But now, like you just said, I got to get a job. I got to do things. But I think he's going to land, you know, fairly easily in that because of the foundation that you're giving him. You're his parent.
That's yes, thank you. And that comes from just what my mom and dad did with me. I remember coming home from basketball practice, and Frank Beamer and Billy Height were in my living room. They did a home visit. And I remember I walked in, and I put my basketball bag down, and I went in there and talked to my mom. My mom, true story, she had a clipboard. She had a clipboard with paper, and then she was talking to Beamer, and she was writing down stuff. Like she had questions. And I do think, man, again, the narrative that we don't hear about, that we should hear about, is there is a contingency of coaches. We took a visit to Albany, and Albany has a life skills program. They have inclusion. They have different things to help young men get acclimated, and to talk about, like, your grades, and also to make sure that you are looking beyond the scope of just basketball. And I really was impressed by that. I really like that, because you got to think about that piece, right?
Sure.
Like remember when, you know, Virginia Tech had Tyrod Taylor and Ryan Williams and Darren Evans and David Wilson and Jared Boykin, right? We could say, yeah, I remember that. Those were some great players and great teams. And the truth of the matter is, it seemed like yesterday, but their career was over. Now, what are they doing now? Like, so, you know, Tyrod obviously is still playing, but some of those guys, hopefully they're all doing well, but some guys have to adjust to that new normal. funny story, Rick. I remember one time I went to the airport. This is after I was done playing, but I was still trying to get on with some NFL teams. And my wife and I were going to Dulles to fly out for a trip. It was either Dulles or BWI, or it could have been Reagan. But either way, we got to the airport, and I looked like a lost soldier because I was so used to being catered to, where, you know, when I was at Virginia Tech, they took our bags, they put everything up. We got we had our own plane. You know, the seats were huge because we're all football players.
Yeah.
And I, you know, and I was like, "What is this, man?" She was like, "Yeah, we gotta check in. We gotta put our stuff here. You know, no one, you're not gonna get first class service.
Well, why not?
I was lost. I mean, that's funny because I was like, wait a minute, I had never flown other than just being the way I used to fly as a Virginia Tech Hokie.
Makes sense.
Because I had never flown before prior to coming to Virginia Tech.
Sure.
We didn't have much money growing up, so every trip we took was drivable. We drove to Florida. We drove here. So like, yeah, man, like it wasn't no situation where I was used to that, but I adjusted, obviously.
I've only been on 3 chartered flights, and that's when I was calling games for the Virginia Tech women's team with Bonnie Hendrickson. Mr. Worsham, God rest his soul.
Oh yeah.
He bought 3 chartered flights. That was the year we went to the Sweet 16 and lost to Shamiqua Holesclaw in the tournament. But yeah, he gifted them 3 chartered flights that Bonnie could, you know, pick out ahead of time where she wanted to go. That's the only time I've ever been, you know, well, I've been on 4. I forgot. Radford, when we won the Big South and we won in Dayton, beat LIU Brooklyn to go play eventual national champion Villanova. That was a chartered flight.
Wow.
That was it.
Yeah, man. Oh, that was some good moments, good memories.
It was all right. It all had to do with basketball. Every charter flight I've been on is because of basketball. So
yeah, man.
Well, that's cool, man. I'm so glad. I can't wait to hear it, and we'll be able to hope. So you think by next Thursday when you're on, we'll be able to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely. Good. Yeah, and you know, shout out to my guys, my Boundary Corner crew, and also a lot of the Tech fans on Twitter. Because of me in our relationship and me being a Hokie, and you know, the support they give us, and that includes Mike, my cousin. You know, there were a lot of people, like when I would share something of Isaiah, they would be in the comments like, Mike Young, look at him. Or even some of the Tech fans that were like, hey, how cool would it be to have another Vick at Virginia Tech campus or whatever? Or how is Virginia Tech not looking at Isaiah Vick or whatever? He could play there. I just appreciate the support, because that's my whole point when I talk about legacy, is that my last game as a Virginia Tech Hokie was in 1998. We beat Alabama in the Music City Bowl. I never put on the Tech uniform ever again, right? But because of the work I've done with Tech, calling games in 2013, speaking engagements for the memorial service I did there one time, all things I've done for the university, from, you know, working in the media like I've done, the fans really appreciate that. So there, a lot of times the narrative on fans is that they're haters or whatever. There are a lot of fans that really appreciate the work I do and have done, and they support my family in a way where the repost and stuff was saying, wow, he looks great, or I'm rooting for him, I'm watching him. I appreciate that. You know, I really do, because it just shows you how important our legacies are. The same way you influence people in your conversations, or just having a good debate, or just talking to everybody. Those things, that's why I said to you before, that's probably one of the negatives of the portal NIL era, is that you will be able to connect with fans, but if you don't stay, you won't have the same connections after you're done. Like there's certain things that I benefit from because I was at Tech for 5 years, and we won a lot of games.
You won a lot of games. That's
between winning a lot and being part of Southwest Virginia's community, and then being a Virginian and being part of those teams that they talk about, and getting my degrees. I mean, I know it's a new era and I don't have a problem with it, but I do think a lot of young men and young women will miss out. Like South Carolina, had the young lady that I think she led the nation in scoring, and she was at Florida State for 3 years, and she was at South Carolina for her last year. I forget her name, but she's really good, playing for Don Staley. Well, I do think it was cool that she was able to get to South Carolina and play for a national championship, and I'm glad that she was able to play for the great Don Staley. I think that should be more of the norm versus some of these kids who, I do know this, who are constantly moving around and they're a little bit delusional, right? And I think that's what overshadows the kids that stay and really only go to 2 schools. Like I got a kid, I'm tight with his family. He's been on my podcast, Silas Demery Jr., the starting point guard for UConn. He was at Georgia for 2 years. He left the portal, and then he went to UConn last year. And from what I know, he's going to stay at UConn. So that's 2 schools in 4 years. And I think that's cool. And I think you get to experience stuff. But I think the young men that are young ladies that are also constantly like, okay, I got to get the bag. I got to go here. I think they're going to miss out on that ability to connect and have legacy. Their response sometimes is, well, that's what we have social media for. That's true. But I do think when I come back, like for the spring games or when I'm in a Kroger late night, leaving my hotel to go grab a snack, and somebody says, hey, Vic, Dwight Vick, right? I heard you on Big Dogs. I'm serious. Yeah. This has happened. You do the thing where, I hear you all the time. Oh, man, look, you had to play. What year were you at Tech? You look familiar. Again, I'm an old man now. That's pretty cool to be remembered like that.
Yeah, you do appreciate things. I get it. I completely get it. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, we'll repost it everywhere too, man. If that's cool with you guys, once the decision comes down, you guys make the announcement. So
absolutely, man, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but my segment. But I'll say this too. I said this to you before, but fans are passionate, and I just don't like seeing young men or young women get ripped when they decide to leave. So, some players are forced into the portal. I went on a visit. And the coach told us that, we're down this many players, but 3 of the guys we met, and I told them they need to go in the portal. It wasn't a good fit, so coaches are using the portal, right? And some kids are also hunting for the bag, but then there's kids like Ben Hammond, who I've known since he was 7 years old, who's been at Tech since he was a freshman. Now, knock on wood, hopefully there's no surprises, but as much as we focus on, sometimes it's almost like being at a birthday party and you got a great group of people there and you're having a good time, but you're looking at the guest list and you're like, gosh, these 4 people didn't show up, but yet you got a room full of people there celebrating you. My point is this, Rick, is that focus on the players that are there. Kids and coaches are going to come and go, but a young man like Ben Hammond who's staying there, who is getting better every year, support him. You got that kid at Radford that broke the scoring record. They scored 53 points to play John Marshall. My son played against him. He came from NC State. He's going to make a lot of money. He did great for Radford, but Radford still has some kids that have been there a few years that are going to stay. I think sometimes we don't celebrate them enough. Not that either kid is wrong. It just means that you got a young man or young lady that decides to stay, celebrate them. That's all. Like, everyone's not trying to get rich. And I know that. I know that from the football and basketball perspective. And some people are just trying to capitalize on getting this money now because they know they won't get it ever again.
That's
right.
That's right.
So anyway, I'm not jealous of these kids. I just want us to, and it's not for you, but I would hope parents and coaches that have these young men and young women around them, I hope they educate them more and more about what comes after. Correct. That's probably what's being lost. I heard Calipari on that great debate they were having with Seth Greenberg and Jay Billis, and Calipari was like, look what's going on. I mean, the mental health right now is crazy. And I was screaming at my iPhone. I'm like, Calipari, man, mental health has been an issue for athletes since the 70s.
Exactly.
Come on, man. Don't say it's because of money.
I know.
I could do another show with you about the young men that played when I played that are men now, or the young men now, that when they're done playing, they struggle to acclimate themselves to society, or they struggle with pain pill addiction, or they struggle with mental health issues that you can't even relate to. So that's been an issue, man. Don't. Sometimes I want to take the microphone for some.
I know. Me too. All the time. You're just like, well, how are you on TV? How are you on?
Exactly.
I would.
No. Yeah. But anyway, man,
We'll get into that sometime. I think that'd be very interesting to people. What you just said.
Yeah. I don't think. And again, I'm not trying to make this a dark or
no. It's important. It's important.
But that part when he said that, I'm like, man, money ain't got anything to do with that. Men and women have struggled. When you imagine playing 4 years and living somewhere 5 years, I'm going back to my era, and you are this, and you're on this pedestal, and you're getting this, and then especially a sport like football, and then it stops as quick as you can turn the lights off. How do you adjust? I mean, even with me, I'll start with myself next episode, or next time we have time to talk about it, where I had to move back home, and everybody in the 757 was like, "Why are you here? What are you doing at home?
Yeah,
why are you? I thought you were with the Ravens."
Yeah, right.
That's hard.
Yeah, and I think we'll get into it next week. We'll have a little combo with Isaiah's destination and that. I did that. That would be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, man.
No, thank you, brother. Great as always, man. And congratulations again on the journey. And can't wait to see where he ends up, man. That's awesome. I'm so happy.
Yeah, man.
So
thank you as always. I appreciate y'all.
All right, brother. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Dwight Vick, the great Dwight Vick. That's awesome. Journey has come to an end. We'll find out. And no, I don't know. People are like, come on, Rick, tell. No, I wouldn't. I was not going to ever bother Dwight with that. That's their journey. And I'll find out when everybody else finds out. So trust me. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Thanks to everybody. Which athlete would I like to interview right now? Michael Jordan. It's pretty easy. Michael Jordan. I'd love to sit down with the all-timer and just talk about whatever. All right, we're done today. Great show. Thanks, TLB. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to David Smith, Andy Bitter, Alex Guerra. Thanks to Dwight Vick. We'll see you tomorrow, the Finally Friday edition, where Jen won't be playing the saxophone. We'll wrap up the week tomorrow, everybody. Take care. Enjoy day 1 of the Masters. Hello, friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Be good.